Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We have a special guest here today to teach us some painting. Moses Ludham. I'm not even saying that right. Ludham.
Close
And
enough.
yeah, Ludham is he is here to teach us the importance of making promises. And we're going into Treaty Week. We're going to be doing Treaty Education Week in the first week of November. And so Moses is here to teach us a little bit more about what we're going to be painting. So welcome, Moses.
Um, Miigwech, thank you, Sherry. Very happy to be here today, and quite excited to be part of your school day, and of course, to come and share and talk about treaties in regards to Treaty Week. Um, just a little bit about information before we begin. My name is Moses Lunham. I'm from the community of Kettle and Stony Point First Nation. My community can be found on the southern shorelines of Lake Huron. And my community is part of the Anishinaabe Nation. Now, I've been a lifelong artist, and making art is an activity that I certainly love to do. And I've been on this creative journey for a very, very long time. And my journey actually began right about, a long, long time ago. I would say from the very first time I could pick up a pencil, a marker, or a crayon, and that paintbrush and begin to create art and make art, and realizing that the Creator had blessed me with this gift. So in my journey, in this creative journey, I've learned many, many things about who I am as an Indigenous person, and beginning to learn and connect to a lot of teachings and stories for sure, and using my artwork as a means of expression. So I was a pretty quiet young boy growing up, and I wasn't saying too much, but my art was my voice. So that's how I shared what I learned with others, by creating art. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to do a little bit of exercise in creating this painting and talking about treaties. And this way we can share it with others so that others can learn too. And that's the thing I love about art. It certainly generates a lot of questions, and we can share our voice or our teaching with others. And that's really, really fun to do and exciting. So yeah, so let's take a look at what we're going to need for our project for today. Let's go over our art supplies just to make sure we have everything that we need for today's project. All right, so let's start with our paint colors. So we're going to be using some acrylic paint. So we're going to be needing the color white, yellow, blue, red, and black. So those are our 5 paint colors that we're going to need today. This is acrylic paint, my favorite type of paint to use. It's quite easy to use. It's water-based. We can add water to it if we need to, thin it out, and it also dries quickly, and it has really, really nice bright colors. And that's what I like about acrylic paint. Let's see what else we're going to need. We're going to need at least 1 cup of water. And anytime you have that water on your work area, it's good to have some of this stuff too. So paper towel, make sure you have a good little supply of paper towel. Okay, just in case we do have an accident knocking over that cup of water. So that's there to clean up our mess if we do accidentally knock it over. And as well, I like to use paper towel to help clean my brushes. So whenever I'm finished with a particular color, we want to switch things up and have that brush cleaned up. I like to wipe all that excess off onto the paper towel and then get it into the water. And this will help clean our brush really, really good. So yeah, paper towel is there to help us. And yeah, let's use that. Make sure we have a good supply. All right, yeah, let's talk about our brushes. So I have this big brush here in my hand. If you have only 1 brush today, that's okay. You can do this painting with just 1 brush. Now, this is a pretty big brush here. I also have some smaller ones here, maybe a medium size here. Just a little bit stepped down, you can see that now. So yeah, so at least 1 good brush for today's project. Let's see what else we're gonna need here. Ah, yes, a paper plate. At least 1 or 2. Some of us may need 2 of them. We are going to be mixing a lot of colors today, so sometimes we get kind of a little bit carried away with mixing colors, and mixing colors is a lot of fun. And sometimes we only use half the plate for 1 color. So it's good to have 2 paper plates if you have it on hand. All right, let's see what else. We got everything pretty much except for our painting surface. Okay, so I'm going to grab this little canvas I got over my shoulder here. Okay, so we're going to be using whatever we have on hand. For example, some of us may be painting on a piece of paper, like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. That's okay too. Or some of us may be using Bristol board, which is a good alternative as well. So, but I myself, I'm going to be using some good old canvas here on this nice wooden frame here. And so it's really nice to be able to have one of these as well. Okay, so as well, and you can see the size that we're going to be using today. This is about 8.5 by 11, pretty close to it. Let me see here. Actually, let me measure that up there. Actually, it's 9 by 12. I just measured it, so sorry about that. Yeah, 9 by 12. And we're going to be using this in what is called a portrait format. And what I mean by that, you can see the long sides of our canvas are vertical as opposed to horizontal. So this is called landscape. So whenever artists make paintings of landscapes, right? And they turn that canvas sideways. And so they call this landscape. But today we're going to be using it in the portrait setting. So have your painting service with the long sides going vertical. Okay. There we go. All right. So there we go. There's all our art materials that we're going to need for today. Let's talk about this painting. Let's talk about treaties. And of course, promises. All right. So here we are, waking up this morning and seeing the beautiful sunrise and thinking, about this time of year. And certainly Mother Earth right now is wearing a beautiful dress, beautiful fall colors. And we think about all those things that Mother Earth has provided for us today. Seeing the sunshine, that in itself is very, very beautiful. So we always have to think about creation and all the good things that our Mother Earth is providing for us. She is taking care of us. Therefore, we need to take care of Mother Earth as well. And so a long, long time ago, as an indigenous person, understanding how our people were hunters and gatherers here on Turtle Island. So my nation or my group of people or my community would move around, okay, looking for hunting and gathering, looking for things, all those good things that Mother Earth has provided for us, right? Because certainly we need nourishment. We need that nutrients to keep us alive, right? And Mother Earth has provided for all of that to us. It could be like the fish, right? It could be the deer, it could be the berries, all those things that Mother Earth has created and provided for us. So understanding how we moved around at certainly times of the season, right? Right now we think about the fall season. A few weeks ago, we recognized Thanksgiving, right? Is at the time we get together, enjoy a good meal, right? And so, yeah, we have to understand that we have to always think about creation and Mother Earth and respecting and honoring the things that she has provided for us. And so as nations, we would move around to certain areas of Turtle Island. And sometimes we would encounter other nations, okay, that would be sharing the same area. So after a while, we understood that we needed to have good relationships with others, to have peace. And how we did this is that we made treaties or we made promises to each other of how we're going to share this land. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about a very important treaty, one of the oldest and one of the very first treaties that was established here on Turtle Island a long, long time ago, way before the Europeans began to come to Turtle Island. And this one treaty that they came up with is called the Dish with One Spoon. I'm going to show you a little piece of artwork that I did here of the Dish with One Spoon. Okay, now this is called a wampum belt. A wampum belt, and you can see it's quite long, right? So what I did is I painted this wampum belt inspired by the original wampum belt that was created a long, long time ago. Now this Dish with One Spoon was made between the Haudenosaunee people. Now the Haudenosaunee people, let me translate that word for you, which means the people of the Longhouse. They were known to be in the area of the eastern shoreline of Turtle Island, but they came up this way here into this present area. And like I said, they come to share the land and they created this wampum belt. And so what they did is they got together with the Anishinaabe people and they talked about how they're going to share this land together. And so they created this wampum belt called the Dish with One Spoon. And so what they did is that they made some promises to each other. Now, I think we know what promises are, right? Maybe you've made promises with your parents, for example. Let's say maybe you promise to eat your vegetables at supper time, right? and you expect to get something back from your parents, right? So I think we have a good understanding of what promises are, right? And sometimes sometimes those promises aren't always kept, right? And I think we know how that feels when something like that happens, right? And that happens in that relationship, because treaties represent a relationship. It's built on mutual peace, respect, and friendship. And that's what Indigenous people did with nation to nation. They made treaties with each other, and they made the dish with one spoon. Now, so what they did, the three promises that they made to each other is that the first one was to take only what you need on the land, right? Take only what you need, okay? That was the very first promise that they made to each other. The second one was leave something in the dish for others, okay? So, yeah, there's a lot here. Let's share it with others so that others can have it as well. And the third one, which is one I really like as well, is to keep the dish clean, which is very, very important as well. When we think about today, we think about, well, pollution, right? We see a lot of littering as well, right? Yeah, that's doesn't make me feel good when I see all that, right? I think we can do better. We can do better to keep the dish clean, to keep our environment clean, so that, yeah, for future generations, it will be there for others. It will be sustained so that we can still benefit from all the good things that Mother Earth has provided for us. Now, let's talk a little bit more about how this design of this belt came about, which is very interesting to me as an artist, because someone has created that belt, right? Yeah. Why does it look like this? That's a good question. Well, for one thing, let's talk about that symbol right there. Once again, it represents that dish. And there's only one dish. There's only one. Okay, think of it that way. We only have one dish. We only have one Mother Earth. So we have to take care of it. And inside that dish, there are all those things I was talking about, all the resources, all the plants, the animals, the water, everything is in that dish that has been provided by Mother Earth. And it's interesting because what they also did, let's go back to that little symbol here. And you can see there's that little rectangle right in there. And what that symbolizes, it actually represents or symbolizes that spoon, right? So that's the name, the dish with one spoon. And the reason why they chose the spoon is because, well, yeah, you can see it's not sharp, it's blunt, it's good for soup, right? So yeah, this helps us, feed us, right? And it's all about peace, right? You know, sharing the land. And if there was a fork or a knife, yeah, it's not sharp. We couldn't harm anybody with the spoon. So that's why the spoon was chosen. But another interesting thing about it, it also represents one more thing. I'm going to show you what that is right here. I'm going to hold this up here, and I'm going to put that little thing that it represents inside here, and take a look at that. Now, here's a little piece of artwork that I did, a soapstone carving of, take a look at that. What does that remind you of? It's a beaver tail. Yes, this is a beaver tail. So they chose the beaver tail to represent all those things, what is inside that bowl. And I think that's pretty interesting of how they chose the beaver tail. So there you go. So there's a little bit of information about what that symbol is and how it came to be. Now, all the white represents the land, all the promises, all the things that they talked about. All those agreements are represented here. And that's what treaty belts do. They represent all those things, those agreements, all those promises are put into that wampum belt. All right, another question you may be asking, well, what are wampum belts made of? Well, the belts are made from what are very two shells that can be found near the ocean or on the ocean, the shorelines. The purple beads were made from a very special shell called the quahog shell, a purple shell. And as well, the white ones were made from a cowrie shell or a whelk shell. Oftentimes when we think about that white shell, You can see, or you may have walked the shorelines of the ocean. You pick up that shell and you hold it up to your ear and you can hear the ocean. Yeah, that's the shell that they use to make the white beads. And of course, the rest was made, you see fringes on the end of it. And of course, that was made from the deer, right? Made string. So that's how they put them together. Now, are the belts still in existence? Yes, they are. You can go to the ROM and see the dish, or know that the dish with one spoon wampum belt is there. So yes, so they are still here today. And of course, those same promises can be applied today, right? Once again, taking only what you need, right, from the land. Number 2, sharing, leaving something there in the dish for others and not taking the dish for yourself. It's sharing. And then of course, the third and final one, which is I really, really like, and that is keeping the dish clean, keeping our environment clean and healthy so that Mother Earth can still provide for us and take care of us. So those are the 3 things about the dish with one spoon. Let's take a closer look at our painting, our project for today. And of course, here at the bottom is our painting of the dish with one spoon. And then of course, this part here, I like this part here, the upper portion of our canvas. And you can see we have that water here. We talked about some of the things that are in that dish right here. Water is very important, right? Water is life. Here we have the grass. This represents the land, all the things growing there, the trees, okay? That beautiful sunshine I was talking about this morning. Beautiful blue sky, everything looks good, looks nice and healthy and clean. So we're taking care of the land. And then of course, this part right here, this is interesting. We have 2, well, stick people, right? They symbolically represent those nations, right? I'm part of the Anishinaabe Nation. Canada is a nation, right? There are many, many nations, especially also for First Nations people. There are many, many nations all across Turtle Island. And there are many, many trees when we look about it and think about it. So yeah, so here we have 2 people together, coming together, nation to nation. And sometimes when you can see that they're kind of connected here, they're holding hands. So that could be a handshake. Sometimes when we make agreements, we shake hands and say, yeah, we have an agreement. So that's why I have the hands joined together. All right, so there we go, guys. So there's a little bit about our painting today, about our learning about treaties. And I know you're excited. Thank you for your patience, for waiting. Let's get ready to begin to create our project today and have some fun, of course, making some art. Okay, let's get situated here. Let's get set up. Now, before we begin, I just want to say all of us work differently. We all work at our own pace. So this is a little shout out to our teachers today. At any time, feel free to pause the video so that some of the students can catch up. And this is a step-by-step process. So I'm going to walk through, the process of recreating this painting for everyone. So let's begin. Okay, the very first color we're going to start with is the color blue. Let's add that to our paper plate. And let's use that big brush that we have. Okay, so I'm going to switch things up here. And let's take a look at the very first thing we're going to create. We're going to divide this canvas, and we're going to do this blue strip right here. We're going to define the water right off the bat. You can see we're going to create a horizontal line. So I'm going to switch this up here. All right, let's divide this. And as a way of helping us out here, you can do a little starting point right here off to the side. And I'm going to go right across and do another one. So I have 2 points right here. So now I'm going to connect these 2 together. So I'm just going to take my brush and go all the way across, aim for that other point on the other side. And there's the very beginnings of that strip or band of color that we're going to create, which will represent water. All right, so this is pretty good here, but I want to make this a little bit thicker. So let's build this up a little bit. Let's add some more blue right on top here. Nice band of color here. Here's our water. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna spread this paint out a little bit here. I'm gonna thin it out a little bit. Now this will take about 10-15 minutes to dry. And this is all we're gonna do for now. We're gonna add some more detail a little bit later. We're gonna show the movement of that water by adding some highlights. But for now, let's just put that there like that. Let's let that dry and let's get ready to move on to our next step. Okay, let's get ready for the next step, and which is we're going to be mixing our first color. We're going to make the color green because we want to create this grass and the trees. Okay, so we have some blue. Now we need to have some yellow. So I'm going to add some yellow here right next to my blue. Okay, we're still going to continue working with this brush. I'm not even going to clean it. It's still got some blue there. And what I want to do is I want to take a little scoop of this blue and I want to add it to the yellow, mix that together, and of course, we're going to make the color green. Hey, there's a nice, bright, vibrant green. Reminds me of spring. Spring is a great time of year. That's where you see the best, brightest greens in creation, when those plants are growing nice and bright. All right, there we go. Nice bright green. All right, let's make some grass. Let's make some trees here. All right, so continuing to use our big brush, let's add some green right on top here. Another band of green. This time we're gonna have to get it right close, right above the water here. All right, so there we go. We can overlap it a little bit. That looks pretty good like that. There's gonna be our grass. Now, if you want, you can add a little bit more to it. You can add some brush strokes like this to make it look more like grass. I'm just gonna go all the way across. There we go. That looks pretty good. So yeah, let's put some brush strokes in here like this. Let's go all the way across. There's our grass. So by creating this grass, it also reminds me of when we talk about first, when these nations came together and making these agreements, that where they wondered how long will they last. So their intent was to represent that length of time. They kind of came up with this saying of, as long as the grass is growing, the river flows, and the sun keeps shining, that's how long these agreements will last. Our promises will be made. So that's a pretty good intent there of when it comes to treaties. As long as the grass is growing, as long as the river's flowing and the sun keeps shining, that's how long these promises will be made to last. Okay, so there we go. Let's make some trees. All right, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a vertical line straight up and down. We're gonna make two trees. We're gonna put one here and one here on the other side. Let's start at the top. Let's make some little lines that look like this. Let's just continue all the way down, making some trees here. Looks like an evergreen tree. There. There's our first tree. Let's make another one on the other side. First thing we do, make that vertical line up and down. Start at the top. There. There's my two trees. Okay, so once you finished your trees, let's clean that big brush up here. So once again, here's where the paper towel comes in handy with helping to clean this brush. So I'm gonna wipe all that excess paint onto my paper towel here. I'm gonna put it into the water and let's clean that brush up real good. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create the sun. Yeah, and it's a nice bright color. So we're gonna be needing to add some yellow to our paper plates. We want to get this brush nice and clean. That looks pretty good there. If I want, I can do a little bit more wiping off here just to make sure we got too much water there. So let's get that brush cleaned up. That looks good right now. Yeah. All right, let's make the sun. So a little bit of yellow. Just a small amount is all we need. I'm gonna make that sun right at the top, right in the center of my canvas, right up here. All right, so a little bit of a challenge here with this shape. Creating a circle by freehand is one of the most challenging shapes to do. There. Now, of course, you can make that any size you want. You can have a big sun. I'm just going to go with the little one right here. I think that is good enough. Okay, so far, so good. We're still going to continue working on the top portion of our canvas. The next thing we're going to do is, well, we're going to fill in the areas surrounding our trees and the sun. Let's take a look at the original. Let's see what we're going to do here. All right, so let's make a light blue sky. All right, so that means, of course, we're going to have to clean this brush once again. So let's grab another piece of paper towel, wipe off all that excess. Let's get it into the water. And we'll get ready for our next step. Okay, guys, let's add some white to our paper plate. Let's put that right beside the blue. We got some blue here. If you need to add some blue, add some as well if you need it. Okay, there we go. Let's mix a nice light blue. So I'm going to take a little bit of that blue, add it into the white, mix that together, we get a nice light blue. And this is going to be the color of our sky. Nice bright blue. Okay, there's our color. Let's fill in the top portion, right? Let's fill in these shapes that we've created with this nice light blue color here. So a nice bright sunny day. Could be a nice spring day here with this nice bright blue. It could be a summer day too. Yeah. Let's fill that in. Okay, there we go. Okay, so once we completed our sky, we're going to leave that for now. We're going to let that dry. And in the meantime, we're going to turn our attention to the bottom portion of our canvas now and begin to create that dish with one spoon treaty belt. All right, so once again, let's get some paper towel, clean up that brush, get it into the water. And we'll get ready for our next step. Okay, let's take a look at what we're going to need to do next. Let's look at the original here. All right, so here's the bottom part of our canvas. We're going to create that dish with a circle, or, well, not a circle, but more what is called a shape called an oval. It's not quite a perfect circle. And inside that oval, there is this shape, a rectangle. All right, so remember that little rectangle represents that spoon, represents that beaver tail. And of course, this represents all the things that Mother Earth, with the land, provides for all of us. Those resources, all the food, all the animal, all the plants, everything is in that dish. And then of course, we're going to create these little gray marks, which represent the white wampum beads. All those things that we talked about, those promises that we made, all those agreements. But let's start with this oval shape. And of course, we're going to mix a new color, which is the color purple. Okay. So to make the color purple, we need two colors, and those colors are red and blue. Okay, let's look at my palette here. Now you can see I'm using up quite a bit of paper plate here. I only have a little small area here to mix this color. So I'm going to switch to a new plate, and you may be doing the same thing as well if you don't have enough room. Lots of room here now, so I'm going to add some blue and red. Some blue, and we don't need too much. We just need a small amount of purple. So I'm not going to put too much blue, too much red, just a small amount, equal amounts, and I'm going to mix that together. Okay, that is a good looking purple there. I like this purple. All right, so I got a good amount here, so I don't need too much, as I mentioned. Now, let's take a look at, once again, what we're going to do, how we're going to start this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create this shape. We're going to make that rectangle shape. Okay, so as you can see, the long sides are vertical going up and down. Then we have some short ones here at the bottom, making that shape of a rectangle. Now, as you can see, my brush has a lot of paint. And that always happens when you mix a new color. Your brush gets a lot of paint, and sometimes it has too much and it's not very effective. So if you think you have too much, and I'm guessing that you do, I like to wipe off a little bit of that excess paint onto that paper towel, because this gives me a lot of control as to how much paint is on that brush. And when I have a lot less, that means I can do better work. All right, so let's make this rectangle. I'm gonna put that right in the center here, and I'm gonna start with creating 2 vertical lines here. Now you can also see I'm actually turning my brush sideways. See how thin that is? See how thin that brush is? I can make a thin line like that. So try that as well. Or if you have to, you can use the full width there to make these 2 lines. That's okay too. Just put 2 of them together. Side by side, let's go this way. Horizontal line. And I'm gonna go right here as well. And there's my rectangle. To symbolize that spoon and as well, the beaver tail. Now I can make that oval shape. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna continue right here at the top and start to make a half a circle. Kind of looks like that. So continue your brush stroke, make a half a circle and connect it down to the bottom. And now I can fill this in. So there's 1/2. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and that will complete the oval shape. Okay, there we go. I've smoothed it out a little bit. My oval shape was a little bit crooked, but that's okay. There, I'm happy with that. There's that dish, right? We only have one dish. We have to take care of that dish, take care of the land. And there we go. There's the beginnings of our bottom here. And now we're ready to create those white beads by creating some short gray brush strokes. So we're going to be mixing another color. All right, so that means let's clean this brush up once again. Okay, there we go. Let's get that brush into the water. Okay, that is looking good there. Nice and clean. I'm gonna clean off a little bit more, make sure. Okay, back to our painting here. Yes, we're going to need to make a new color. That color is gray. So a light gray. All right, so the colors we are going to need are white and black. So we're going to use a lot more white and a very, very small amount of black. So I'm going to add some whites. See my paper plate? And not a whole lot, just a small amount. And now I'm just going to put a drop. I'm going to put a drop right beside that white because I don't need much. Just a little bit. Let's mix these 2 together. We should make the color gray. Yeah, see how dark that is? Just that little dark, yeah, that little drop. That's all you need. Just the drop. There we go. There's our gray. Okay, once again, as you can see, anytime we mix a color, that brush gets a lot of paint on there. Consider wiping some of that excess off here onto the paper towel. Yeah, get that brush looking a little bit better. All right, there we go. Yeah, had too much paint on it. All right, let's see where we're going to start with this gray now. And we're going to start right at the bottom of the dish, right there. Let's do a brush stroke that goes right to the edge of the canvas. And now we're going to go all the way across the bottom, and we're going to leave some of that white space in between. All right, so a little bit of a challenge to make these the same size as we go across the bottom of our canvas. Right, that's pretty good right there, all the same size. Let's go to the other side. Same thing, leave a little space in between. Okay, there's the bottom. Okay, so here we are. This is where we are in our part of this project here. We just completed this here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the other side at the top here. We're going to do this work here first. So very much the same thing like we did here. The difference is that we have some blue there, so it's going to be a little bit more complicated. Now, if you want to make this a little bit easier, rotate your canvas. Let's turn it upside down. Turn that canvas upside down. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of gray, and we're going to start much the same way. Well, exactly the same way like we did right here. Remember we put our first starting point right here? Let's do that again right here. Let's put that right there. There's our first one. Whoop, get that a little better. Okay. And now I can go all the way across, just like I did at the very first time. Okay, now I'm going to go to the other side, all the way across. All right, there we go. Let's turn it back this way. All right, so now we got the bottom and the top complete. All that remains is this space here and this space here. And let's fill those in as well. I'm going to start right here at the bottom, and I'm going to see how many I can fit in there. So I'm going to say 2. I think I have enough, enough space there for 2. I'm going to go to the other side here. I'm going to say, yeah, there's probably enough for 2 as well. All right, so as you can see, we're starting to fill it in now. And then just to complete these other remaining areas, I'm going to put 1, 2 as well. All right, that side's complete. Now for this side, this will finish off the bottom portion of our painting of the dish with 1 spoon. And there we go, guys. There it is. There's our wampum belt. At least a part of it, the main part right here, the most important symbol. Okay, so once you've done that, let's clean that brush up once again. Grabbing a little bit more paper towel here. Want to get this brush nice and clean. We got a little bit more work to do. We're almost finished our project here. All right, and get that into the water. And as a matter of fact, we're going to get that final detail of how that water is going to look by creating some highlights. So we want to make sure this brush is nice and clean. All right, there's a lot of water on that brush. Let's wipe some of that off. And our brush is good to go. Okay, let's add those final details. Let's add a little bit of white. Just a small amount. I'm going to add that to my brush and I'm going to create some highlights on that water. All right, so we're going to show the movement of that water. So let's make some horizontal brush strokes here. This is where you can get creative as to how that water looks, the movement of water. Yeah, when we think about it, when that sun is shining out, it hits the water, creates a beautiful highlight, really showing what that water looks like, the movement of water. Okay, so there we go. Now we're into our final detail, which is very important detail as well, of the two people or the two nations coming together once again, right here. So I'm going to show you how to make these two people together. Clean that brush up a little bit and let's add some black to our paper plates. Just a small amount is all we need. Okay, let's get a little bit of paint on that brush. Not too much, just a very, very small amount. It's all we need. All right. Here's our starting point. We're going to make two lines that form a peak. They come together. All right, we're going to make two of those. Two lines that come together to form a peak. Okay, so I'm going to put this right over into the grass because these people are standing on the grass. So there we go. There's one, there's two. And remember, you can make these thinner lines just by turning your brush sideways if you only have the one brush. Certainly, if you do have the smaller brushes, this is the time as well to pull that brush out and let's use that because we are getting into a little bit of finer detailed work here of creating these nice thin lines. So there's the first one. I'm going to go over here and do the same thing and create another one right here. Okay, so there's my two set of legs. Now we're going to make the body or the torso. And all we're going to do here is just make a vertical line. Straight up and down. Same height, same length. Okay, now we're into making the arms. Let's make the two that are connected. So let's start our very first line at the top. So we're going to make this line come down here. I'm going to stop right about halfway. So halfway, find the middle in this distance. And now I'm going to make another line to connect. right here. Connect those two lines together. Once again, that represents that handshake, right? That agreement. Sometimes we do a handshake when we're in agreement with things. Okay, so now to complete these arms, let's do the second one over here. Let's keep it simple. Let's just continue. At the top of that vertical line, create two arms. There we go. And now this puts us down to our final detail of creating the heads of our two people here. And I'm just going to plop that right here because my big brush here, I'm just going to press like that. That's going to create the head of this person. And I'll go over here and do the same. And there we go. That is the final detail for our project today. All right, guys, so I hope you had fun today making arts, learning a lot about treaties today, and of course, being able to share with others what you've learned today in talking about treaties and how treaties represent that relationship from nation to nation. And it's built on friendship, respect, and of course, peace, and sharing all the good things that Mother Earth provides to us every day and in the future as well. And how we make promises and how we're going to treat each other through these promises and agreements, which is so important. And yeah, so those are good things to remember when we're talking about treaties.
Thanks so much, Moses. I know that everybody is probably really busy painting and finishing up their projects. You're such a patient teacher, and I love all the different ways that you're telling kids how to do it. If it might look difficult, then turn it around. There's always many ways to do certain things. And again, it's been a wonderful honor and a privilege spending these last couple of days with you. And we'll see you soon at our paint, our
Oh,
family paint night, November 2nd, right? We're going
yes,
to be doing the falling leaves. So students, if you've been,
falling leaves.
then make sure that you join us again, and you'll see Moses. You'll see Moses again. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honored to come back and share some more and a little bit of culture and teaching my favorite two things, creativity and culture. Love it, guys. Hope to see you
Thank
soon. Take
you.
care.
Bye.